Coming up on episode 140 of our Finding Better podcast, we're going to talk about how to take fear out of public speaking. You know, a lot of people fear public speaking more than they fear death itself. And on the other hand, Warren Buffett famously said that one way you can increase your value by 50% is just by learning public speaking. Terry L. Fossum is joining me, and he is an expert on TEDx speaking, and he's a TEDx coach. Beyond talking about TEDx, we're going to talk in general about how to take your fear away from public speaking. It's a wonderful conversation. It has helped me, and you're going to get a lot out of it, I promise. Here we go. Hello, 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 and welcome back to our Finding Better podcast. My name is John Suzuki, and I am your host. And this is where we share real life experiences of people who have been there and done that. Because, you know, sometimes the best path to success is to follow in the footsteps of people who've been there. And so today I've got Terry L. Fossum with me. And this is going to be an amazing, amazing conversation. We're going to talk about TEDx. We're going to talk about public speaking. And we're going to talk about figuring out how to do public speaking without losing your lunch. Now, Terry has written all kinds of books. He's an author of a book called The Simple Guide to Public Speaking, as I said, without losing your lunch, the ox cart technique. And you can see all these books on Amazon. And just he's a former soldier, a former firefighter, a hugely successful businessman. And we are going to talk today about TEDx. And you know, I want to just share a quote from Warren Buffett. And he said that one of the most valuable things you can do for yourself and do for your life is to learn to speak. And he said that, and he quantified this, and he says, you know what? It will increase your value by 50% just by learning how to speak well in public and in your career and as you communicate with people. I mean, it just so there's really value to this, but at the same time, and Terry and I are going to talk about this, you know, they say that the greatest fear that people have beyond dying is public speaking.
Yeah.
So Terry, welcome to Finding Better. Thank you for joining me.
John, thanks so much for having me. One of the many things I love about this podcast and where you come from is you're looking to help people who are
Totally.
having challenges, they're having their struggles, and you're interviewing people who are successful. So it's where we all want to go, but from the understanding that we all got there because we went through the struggles.
Exactly.
You're not
Exactly.
alone.
Yeah, and you know, I tell people that it's not about theories, it's not about academics, it's not even about opinions. You know, I had a friend who got in an argument one day, and I said, "Do you want my opinion or not?" And he says, "John, I could care less about your opinion, but I'll listen to your experience." But he says, "I'll listen to your experiences all
I
day long."
love it. All
Right?
right.
And so that's what this podcast is all about. So let's just get into this, right? TEDx is huge. It's huge. As you mentioned as we were talking a little bit earlier, it's the biggest stage on planet Earth.
It
And
is
you
the
know,
biggest
there's
stage in the world. Yeah.
so talk about your journey. Talk about from whence you've come and how you got to where we are today.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been a wild ride, as all rides are, folks. Know that to begin with. If you're failing, if you're failing, you need to be thinking fantastic, because every
Right.
single person that's gotten anywhere failed their way to that point. So if you're not failing, you're not on the path to success. All right.
Yeah, that's true.
It's
Okay.
true, isn't it? But if you
Yeah.
are failing, I want you to go, yes, I'm on the path to success. So let's talk about some of those. So I wrote a book and a few books, right? And I think I sold like 4 copies, but 2 of them were to my family. So that doesn't really count because, well, they got them for free. So, 2. And, I've been a speaker, and that we can talk about the importance of public speaking. It's so critical, guys. We can talk about that, but we're going to get you past some challenges too. Don't worry. But I've done some of that. But, how do you get paid to do it? How do you get really, really paid to do it? How do you do it for free to start with? And then I had a coaching program, but there's crickets chirping. And I had this idea. I really
Yeah,
thought,
you had a coaching program, but nobody to coach.
hey, my dogs know this coaching program well, man.
There
They
you
got this
go.
down.
Nice.
But there's probably a lot of people out there that know how I feel. You've got,
Yeah.
I thought I had this
Oh,
great
yeah.
idea, fantastic idea,
I sold six
but
copies of my book.
hey, I'll take the seventh. I'm there for you, man. Yes, yes. So how do you actually get the word out there? Well, like John said, the biggest stage in the world right now is the TEDx stage. That's it. It used to be if you want to get your word out there, you write a book. That's not the way it works anymore. You got to get on the TEDx stage. But the question is, how do you even start, right? How do you know if
Hmm.
you've got an idea that would get on the stage? How do you know if you got a
Yeah, I
decent
mean,
idea?
there's thousands and thousands of people that want to get on TEDx stages.
They
How
are.
do you get there?
Yeah, they are coveted spots, man. There's a reason, right? It's the biggest stage in the world. Everybody understands that's your stepping stone to, first of all, getting your idea out there to help people. That's the number one thing. New, innovative ideas to help people. And I should say, by the way, I am not an official paid TED Talk person, whatever. I'm just a guy who got really blessed on his TED Talk, TEDx Talk, and is helping other people do the same thing. So the first thing you need to know is they're looking for new, innovative ideas, something new, something countercultural, not that everybody else is doing. As one example, one of my clients, and I've got this TEDx coaching program now. One of my clients is actually Larry Namer. This guy's the billionaire founder of Entertainment TV. Okay. So he's already a billionaire. He's already known globally and all of this kind of stuff. But the funny thing is, I was chatting with him. I said, hey, man, have you ever thought about doing a TEDx talk? And he goes, well, a lot of my friends have. But to tell you the truth, Terry, I don't speak in public. I get interviewed, but I don't know how to speak.
Mm,
So if you're listening in and going, but I don't know how to go, you're not alone. Okay.
right.
But his idea, and he had just put out a book called Off Script, how he went from being a Brooklyn underground cable layer to one of the biggest TV moguls in history. And
Hmm.
it's by off script by doing what everybody tells you not to do. And of
Interesting.
course, when we package that right, TEDx loved that. Bam, nailed his talk, right?
Mm,
But I put together a tool to help people do that. And this is a free tool I want to offer your audience right now. They can go, if you've got an idea, you're wondering, would it work? Or how can I make it work? You go to IdeaScore.ai. IdeaScore.ai. It's a tool I put together to analyze your idea. And it's going, I love that. John's writing it down right now. I love that. And it's going to analyze your idea and tell you honestly if it's a bad idea or if it's a great idea. And it's going to help you shape that idea because when you apply to be on a TEDx stage, you and, like John said, the thousands of other people, it's got to be written in a way that catches their attention immediately, or they go on to the next one. And it's
right.
got to have an idea that is TEDx worthy, that is what they are hoping for, because they want to fill their seats too. So it's the idea they're hoping for. And this is going to do that for you. So you can go to ideascore.ai just right away and figure out if it's going to be helpful or not.
Cool.
Yeah,
I did just write it down, by the way.
absolutely. So you doing it. I love that. Well, I mean, it's amazing what a TED Talk can do for you if a TEDx talk, and I'll explain that in a second. If you know how to do things right. If you don't, it's gonna be rough. TEDx Talk versus TED Talk. TED Talk is the one national one. TEDx is the localized. So like TEDx Spokane, TEDx Copenhagen, wherever it might be around the world. So does that help answer that question, John, about how you get started on even that?
Yeah, well, it'll answer the question once I go to IdeaScore.ai, I
Yeah,
think, right? I mean, you
yeah.
got first step is to find a way to assess the idea that you're thinking about, right?
Look, yeah.
And and just real quick, you talk about TED Talks and TEDx, the more local ones, right?
Mhm.
So there are hundreds or thousands of TEDx chapters out there.
Right.
How do you decide? How do you decide which ones to go after and which ones to work with?
I love that question. Okay, there's several things that you want to take a look at for that, and I'm really glad you asked that because not all events are created equal. Now they're all
Hmm.
fantastic, and they're all helping people get their ideas out to the world. They're so I love them all. I truly do. But some are going to be different than others.
Sure.
Some are going to have thousands and thousands of people listening to them. Some are going to have dozens and dozens of people listening to them, you know? And so you want to take a look at that. I'm going to help you with that as well. So that's number one you want to take a look at. Number two is a huge advantage to being a TEDx speaker is you've got footage of you speaking on a TEDx stage.
Mm. Hmm.
So, right. So if you want to be a paid speaker, you have to have a speaker reel, a professional speaker reel. And too many times when people ask me, well, how do I become a public speaker? I tell them to do that. I say, well, I don't have any speaker reel. I don't have any footage. And I'm not going to get any professional footage because nobody's paying me to be on a professional stage. Like, okay, book a TEDx talk because if you look at the right one, it's going to have a multi-camera shoot, professional shoot. You're going to get professional footage of you on a TEDx.
Ah,
You get
okay.
it. You get it. And you can put that on your speaker reel. You can, if you're a coach, an author, whatever, you can put that on your website. You can take pieces of it and email it out, put it on your social media. This is what makes you be the expert. You're not
So
just,
what
go ahead.
so what I'm hearing you saying is that there are some that have dozens and dozens of people and hundreds of people, and everybody wants to go after the ones with hundreds and hundreds of people.
Or
But if
thousands
you
and
have a
thousands.
or thousands and thousands, but if you have a dozens and dozens of TEDx folks there, but they have multiple cameras, right?
Yeah.
And they can get you that professional reel.
Yes.
That's
Yes.
more important, arguably, than the hundreds and hundreds,
See, I will
and
agree
probably
with you.
easier to get into.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Very possibly. You
Okay,
check into it, make sure they're doing a good shoot for you. But yeah, I mean, for one thing, if you go into the bigger one, then they have organic spread of your message, right? They've got thousands or millions of listeners. So that's cool. But you can do that yourself. And either way, you've got footage. The next thing you want to look for, and then we'll go back to the benefits of having that footage, et cetera, is the subject. Each one of these TEDx events has their own theme. And if you're doing
got it.
something that has nothing to do with their theme, they're not interested. Don't waste either of your time.
Right.
So you can look for that. Now, the cool thing is, and I'm going to talk about, I've got a coaching program and I've built AI based on all of my expertise of having one of I mean, number two new TEDx in the world and one of the 30 most influential TEDx talks in the world, et cetera, and research with that AI all things TEDx under the globe and above. Actually, I've got contacts into space. It's a whole different story. Um,
Okay.
and and what this does is it will take, first of all, your idea that you got from that first AI, you put it into that, and it's going to search all of the TEDx events in the world and do your best matches for you, and then write your promotional
Nice.
materials for you. Yeah, it's really huge, man. It's really,
This thing,
really
this
huge.
this IdeaScore.ai.
The IdeaScore.ai, what that's going to do is that'll analyze for free. It'll analyze your idea. It'll give you a score based on what it thinks it's got to hit, and it'll give you five different ideas of how to make that canned to help you book that event, or at least
Okay.
steer you in the right direction. Okay, and that's free. Now, it'll lead you into a webinar where I explain all things TEDx again of how
Mm.
it blew the doors of my life to where my speaker fee is now $20,000 an hour, which is insane to me, right? And coaching people, not a problem. Of course, my book now number one best-selling book on the Wall Street Journal, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So this coaching program takes you through that, and that AI that I just told you about is part of that
Mm.
program, and
Okay.
it'll write your promotional materials for you. So whereas there's thousands of people trying for that slot, you've got the upper hand in getting that slot to begin
Mm.
with. Is that cool?
Yeah. Yeah. Love how you're using new technology to make that happen.
Well, and it's, I think, important to know because, there's going to be, and I know there's going to be copycats, right? There's going to be Me Too's. We do it too. We do it too. No, I'm using AI at a higher level than 99% of the population, a higher cognitive level. This is not just, I threw something in Chat GPT, find stuff for me. No, this stuff is intense, man. This is
Mm.
real, like nothing else out there, and nothing else really will
Okay.
catch up. Yeah.
And
So
what's
that's
your
kind of
success rate?
Uh, right now, we're just launching the program. We're just
Okay.
launching the program. And I just started with my buddy John, and he got in there, and bam, we got him one within weeks. Another client that's just now come on board is actually Paula Joe Taylor, viral guitar granny, millions of views online. And she's like, man, you're working with people like Larry Namer. I want to be part of this too. And we'll get her one booked very quickly too. And now we're just launching this out to the public. It's been pre-beta. It's been, I want to see how
Okay.
bad we're going to screw this up. And it's still
Okay.
really beta. We're going to screw some things up. But the success rate, I'm going to say, and this is Terry's opinion, okay, is going to be 100% because we're going to keep working with you and working with you and working with you until you get yours. And the AI is going to help write your TED Talk for you and give you all the promotional stuff, the press releases, the emails, the social media to help you get the kind of views that you're looking for. So,
Wow.
yeah,
Okay.
yes, yeah, it's really huge, man.
So
Yeah,
beyond this, okay, because we're on this podcast and
yep,
we know where we can go and my audience can go to get more information.
sure.
But what are some of the secrets to writing a great TED Talk or TEDx talk?
Thank you for asking. Absolutely. Let's go into some details for your audience. And folks, I really recommend you write this down. Okay. This is somewhat the secrets, but it's not just of a great TEDx talk, it's a great talk. Okay.
Okay.
First of all, don't worry about the words. You know, in fact, I'm going to back up a little further than that. If you think you can't give a passionate talk, you are wrong. And I pretty much guarantee you have done it before. If you have ever had children, you have
Yeah,
spoken passionately.
that's true.
Is it true, John? Is it true? If you have ever been
Every
in a
one of
relation,
us.
right? If you have ever been in a relationship, probably you've spoken passionately. And yet we get so worried, oh, I can't speak passionately on stage. Yes, you can. What's the difference? When you're speaking to your children, there was some action they were going to take, whether they liked it or not, and you didn't care how you were appearing to the audience, right? You weren't worried about
Right.
your words. You weren't worried about, I'm going to forget it. You weren't worried about anything. You had a message you were going to get across. Same thing on stage, folks. They're not going to remember the words you say. They're going to remember how you made them feel. So when you get up on that stage, whatever that stage is, I want you to have one thing in mind, and that's the the action you want the audience to take. That's all that matters. Now we'll talk semantics in a second. We're going to give you a lot of meat and potatoes here on John's show. It's very important you do so. But know that that is your main thing. Now, the next thing is stories. It's all about telling stories. Because again, they're not going to remember anything you said. They'll remember the stories forever. John and I were talking about an organization we were both part of 30 years ago. I still have people reach out to me from speeches I gave back then and go, you remember when you told that story about, they don't remember anything else about my talk. They'll remember the stories. And emotion, listen, this is important. Write this down, guys. Emotion, not fact, is the driver of all action. Emotion, not fact, is the driver of all action. So you want to create an emotional response with your stories, and that gets them up off their butts and taking the action you want them to take.
I had a guest on a couple of weeks ago, and what he said is that facts inform, but
Mm-hmm.
stories transform.
I love
And
that.
I thought that was amazing. Facts inform and stories transform. And
Love it.
just like you said about the stories that you told, people remember your story. They might not remember anything else you said. They might not right, but they remember stories because
Yeah.
people associate stories, and stories can become visual representations of what you're talking about.
Yeah.
And so being able to take what you're talking about and turn it into a story that people can relate to. Yeah, you're right. It's huge.
And create that emotional response. And
Hmm.
here's how. Now, everybody get ready to write this down as well. Okay. When you start your talk, you want to start with on a big up. Bambi is out there frolicking about the clover with mom, eating
And
clover and
Thumper. Yep.
butterflies around, right? So you've got that beautiful feeling, that high, and then bam, Bambi's mother is shot and killed. That's
You just ruined
horrible.
it. You just ruined it for
It's
everybody.
horrible. It's horrible. It's terrible. And it pulls you right in emotionally. You're going, oh my God, you cry, right?
You had to use that as an example?
I
I
had to
mean,
use
really?
that. But there's a reason movies do this. And there's a
This
reason
is
the great
true.
speeches do as well. Because you take your audience on that emotional journey. First of all, something happy, something great, something up that endears you to them, and then bam, brings them back down. You know, a lot of times it's When they're introducing me, they show footage. I won a survival reality show, and they show footage of me on that survival show. So everybody's like, "Oh my God, that's great!" And then I go on stage, and then I tell them, "Yeah, that's fantastic, but that's not always the way it was." I was raised in literally the poorest city in the entire United States of America, a small Texas-Mexico border town that we've all heard of by the name of McAllen, Texas. It's where all this stuff's happening. It's in the news.
Yep.
Now, I love my hometown, but it can be a little rough growing up sometimes with the gangs and the drugs. I was on the wrong end of an assault rifle in junior high in my own back alley. I interrupted the wrong guy doing the wrong thing at the wrong time. And I'm wondering if my next breath will be my last. So when I was in junior high, when I was in high school, my father was killed. Before he died, one of the neighbors came up to him and said, "I just want to make sure you understand something. Not a single one of your boys will ever grow up to be anything." See, that's my background. That's where I
Mm.
come from. Now you see the emotional journey that takes people, and it's all God's honest truth, or we never say it, never lie, right? Only God's honest truth. But now we bring them to that emotional place. Now it's your next job to build them up slowly from there and ending in this great crescendo where they know you just finished your speech and they can't wait to jump up on their feet, applaud, and then get out there and take action based on the information you gave them. Does that all make sense, John?
Absolutely.
Is that helpful?
All the sense in the world. All the sense in the world. Yeah. And and there's a method to do that. You want and what you're talking about, at least what I think you're talking about, is getting the audience invested in what you're talking in what you're saying, right?
100%.
Emotionally invested in
Emotionally
it.
invested. That's the only investment there is emotional investment.
Right. Right. Okay. So you're but before that, one of the things I'd love to learn from you.
Yeah,
I did a lot of speaking.
right,
In most professionally in my work, both in sales and I was a technology evangelist. So I spoke to a lot of people.
right on.
Um, and but I remember when I first started. It's not so much anymore, thank goodness. But before just about every big talk that I gave, and what I mean by that, and a big audience, I would throw up. I would throw up. I'd be in the green room. I'd be kind of getting myself set, mentally prepared, doing my thing, right? Someone would come up to me, have a conversation, and say, "Excuse me, I'll be right back." I'd go to the bathroom, I'd just bled it out, and I'd come back and go, "Hey, yeah,
Wow.
what do you want to talk about?" And then once I got that out, I was fine. Let's go. Let's get on stage.
Right on.
And it was the strangest thing, because I felt comfortable on stage, but there was something inside of me, maybe subliminally, that said, "Dude, what
It
are you
needs to come
doing?"
out.
So yeah, what happens? Your
Okay,
message and everything has to come out.
yeah. Okay,
And
here's the
I think
deal.
I think that's what a lot of people are fearful of, right?
Yes.
Not the throwing up part of it, but the stuff that leads up to the throwing up. So yeah,
Yeah.
so what do you do?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's because of several things. Let's go through that, man. Let's have some fun here. Okay, first of all, get over yourself, right? It's not sorry, dude. I should have waited till you're finished drinking. Get, get
Okay,
over your
thank you.
get over yourself. It's not about you.
This is
If you're
true.
worried
This
about
is
that, you're
true.
all worried about you. How are they going to feel
This
about
is true.
you, right? They're judging you. You're going to screw up. It's not about you. It's about the people you're going to help through your message. And if
Right.
you focus on that person, you've got a message you're getting out there for some reason, and it's going to help somebody or something. If you go up there with that visual in mind, that child you're going to help, that geographical location, that animal, whatever it is, then it's not about you. Instead of that nervousness, you're going to have this passion build up inside of you. I got to get out there and help that person, help that thing, help that place. Does that make sense?
Okay. Yep.
Okay. Here's the next one. So I was a captain in the Air Force, and I was at something called Squadron Officers School. Now, top captains in the Air Force all come together, many, many weeks, training, leadership, warfare, all that kind of stuff. Part of it is public speaking because public speaking is part of leadership, y'all, like it or not. It is. And they give us a topic. We have to give a topic. We have to pick a topic. And then we're going to give three speeches on that, three short speeches on that. Okay, cool. Day number one, speech day number one. I go up to give my speech. I do my thing. I've been talking since I was a kid. All right. So it went pretty well. And now, right up after me,
I think everybody in the audience feels like we need to kind of help you get out of your shell and kind of pull you out of your shell.
I'm trying, man. I'm
Yeah,
trying.
I see that. I see that. I admire you for that effort.
But it's a struggle. The struggle is real, John. The struggle is real. So, so right behind me is Captain Scott. And oh, geez. Okay, John. So Captain Scott, this guy, one of the funniest people I've ever met in my life. We're sitting there and we're in our flight. So it's about a dozen captains, and we're discussing, nuclear warfare. This kind of stuff is serious. And he's sitting right beside me and muttering under his breath these jokes. And I'm trying to look down at my feet and not laugh my butt off and get in trouble. So here we go. Captain Scott, put your tray tables up, seat rights in the upright position, seat backs upright position. Here comes Captain Scott. But he gets up, and I notice he's looking down at his feet as he's shuffling up to the front of the room. And he's got a stack of note cards, and they are vibrating, man. He's
Oh,
so nervous. And he gets
uh,
up there and he starts stumbling over word. I'm waiting for the little line of pee to go down his flight suit. Okay. The
yeah.
book was almost instead of losing your lunch without wetting your flight suit. And at some point, he finally stops talking and just walks off. He comes up to me outside the barracks and I said, Terry, can you help me? He said, yeah, I can. And I worked with him for 15 minutes, just 15 minutes. That's all. About a week later, time number two, I do my thing. Scott gets up and he's got a note card and it's rock solid, but he ain't looking at it. He's looking at the crowd as he's walking up there,
Hmm.
get that look in his eyes. And he not only finishes the talk, he nails it. Would you like me to teach you what I taught him in 15 minutes?
Sure, sure.
Okay, here's the deal. Most of the time when we get up on stage, once again, we're all worried about, oh, they're judging me. I'm going to suck. I'm going to forget my words. What was it I'm going to say? And all that, right? Okay. We are our weakest when we're getting up on stage. That's why you're throwing up. You're feeling your weakest. In fact, in your case, that is actually part of flight or fight. You're getting rid of that puke so you can run. All right. So what I did with Scott is I just transformed his state, what I call the pop. And I asked him, okay, Scott, let me ask you something. What is the most powerful you've ever been in your life? And I work with people around the world on this. What is the most powerful you've ever been in your life? In fact, John, let me ask you this. We're doing this live on the air. Let's do this. What's the most powerful you've ever felt in your life?
The most powerful I ever felt in my life was probably
Yeah.
when my kids were born.
Which one?
First,
The first one. Okay. Tell me about that. About boy or girl, first of all.
boy,
Okay. I
boy.
want you to I want you to go back to that one singular moment. Whether it's holding him in your hands the first, whatever it is. Tell me about that singular moment when that happened.
My wife went through an incredibly and intensely hard 23-hour labor.
Oh my gosh.
And it was really bad. It was really
Wow.
bad. And when he was finally born,
Yeah.
holding him,
Yeah.
it was victory. It was victory not only from the standpoint of being proud of my wife
Yeah.
and everything that she went through,
Yeah.
but victory that God gave us this person, this little
Yeah.
person, um, and blessed us with this person and with all His grace.
Are you seeing that
And
child right now in your arms? Are you seeing that child?
yeah, yeah,
How's it
yeah,
feel? How's it
yeah.
feel?
It feels good. It feels amazing. It feels
Feels
amazing.
amazing.
It feels it actually it feels awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, yeah, it
So
feels
what I want
awesome.
you to do now from now on, and this is what I do every single, because I'm an introvert actually. Talk about coming out of my shell. I'm actually an introvert. We can go into that at a different time for you introverts out there. But what I want you to do from now on, okay, before you go on stage, I want you not to be, oh, what am I going to say? What am I, well, the word? No, 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 no. I want you to go back into that hospital room after 23 hours of labor, worrying about your wife, so concerned for your wife and her getting through that with her strength and God's grace and holding that son in your arms. I want you to see that boy. Can you do that?
Interesting. Yeah, I can.
Because when you
I
do that,
can.
now you're the guy.
I think I'm still going to throw up though.
I don't think you will. Now, if you go back to
Okay,
that
we'll
thought, you
see.
will, but absolutely not. If you do this right,
Okay.
John, you will never throw up again because you're not going to be thinking about any of that crap that made you do that, any of those concerns, any of those fears. You just got through 23 hours of dread concern for your wife, and you are now holding the culmination of God's glory in your hands. And with that, there's nobody that can stop you. Is that right?
Yeah, that's true. That's true. That's
You
true.
see the
It's
power to that?
interesting. You're totally aligned. You know, when I get up and talk, I'm not talking for me. I'm talking for the audience.
Yeah.
And I know that I have a whole lot to give, right? And a lot of times folks are there to hear what I have to say.
Hmm.
And I think it's for me it's a fear of disappointing them. I never do.
Right.
I never have,
Right.
but it's just that intestinal gut
Not anymore.
gut
Not
check.
anymore.
But
In
we'll
fact,
see.
John, I'm
We'll
going to
see.
tell
I
you,
will
and I
try
know
that.
this
I will
this
try
is your
that.
podcast and your listeners, but I'm going to tell you, cut it out. Don't
You
even
know,
think about that
you're
any
not the
more.
okay. Okay, you're
And
not the
but
first
but I'm
guy
not
that has said those words.
but I'm not
Yeah.
I bet. Or a gal, but that's a whole different story.
Yeah.
Um but now it's not going to be just taking something away from you, cut that out, stop doing that. But now I'm giving you
Right.
something much more beautiful, much more powerful to propel you onto that stage. Because again, now it's not even about you helping the audience. It's about you holding that child for the first time in your arms, man. Right?
Hmm. Okay.
Give
Okay.
it a yeah. And for everybody else out there, oh, go ahead.
So the idea being that when you're in the green room or you're getting ready to do your talk or whatever it is, I mean, it might be a presentation to six people, six executives in your office, right? You're saying to put yourself in, first of all, think of the most powerful experience you've had in your life.
Yes. Narrow it down to one.
Take time, take even 5 minutes,
Yeah.
right? It didn't take us more than that when you just took me through it.
Yeah.
But take 5 minutes before and put yourself there because I have to say that was really, really powerful. It was really
Well,
awesome. I put myself back in the operating room. I put myself back I smelled it. I saw
perfect.
it.
Perfect.
I
Perfect.
heard it. I felt it. And, and like I said, it was awesome. It was
Perfect.
beyond amazing. It was awesome.
Right on.
And so,
Right on. So
so
Captain Scott's,
yeah,
to finish that story real quick, I asked him,
yeah.
now this was electronic warfare officer, nuclear B-52, each one fully loaded, approximately sixth most powerful nation on the earth. And I asked him what was his most powerful time in his life. It was a softball game. He hit a home
Mm,
run in a softball game, but I took him through it. He did the same thing you just did. High fives going across the plate. Everybody's cheering for him. They're freaking out. They're tripping out. So when he got up that next time to speak, he was the guy that just hit the home run. And he hit another home run on the
nice,
stage.
nice.
That's the
Got it.
deal.
Interesting, interesting. Okay, okay. So, if someone's thinking about it, if someone is in a position right now where they're going, well, yeah, okay, that's okay. That's yeah, well, but maybe it's not for me anyway. What do you tell them?
With what's not for them? You're saying if they're thinking about what?
Doing a TEDx talk.
Oh, you know what? Maybe it's not. Again, let's again, I will
There you
always
go.
shoot straight, man. Maybe it's not. But if you've got an idea that you'd like to get out there, it's the biggest stage in the world. If you've got a coaching program, an author, a book, whatever, it's the way to get it out there. But if that's not the way you want to go, then don't, because it's got to be something that you want to do. Because if
Right.
look, it's not easy. Even with my program that does most of the work for you, it still ain't easy. Anybody tells you differently is lying to you. All right. You got to want to do it. but it's less about I want to do a TEDx talk and more about I want to help people. I
There you
want to
go.
help them with my message. That was my whole deal. You know, sure, I mean, the money's great, everything else is great, but the fact that my idea is out there helping people now that I knew were needing my help, my idea, that's what motivated me. And if that's what motivates you, then fantastic.
And that is huge. That's
Yeah.
huge. To be able to be able to shift from I want to do a TEDx talk to I have a message that can help a lot of people out there. You know, one of the things we talk about a lot on my podcast is finding purpose. You know,
Mhm.
and I believe that we're all put here to make the world better than the day we landed on it.
Right
That's a
on.
shared purpose that we all have, I
Right on.
think. And you know, thinking about you know, one experience I had, I was talking with my karate sensei,
Hmm.
and he's been my sensei for 25 years, and he's kind of Mr. Miyagi of Karate Kid, the real
Right on.
Mr. Miyagi.
Right
And I
on.
asked him, I said, you know what? I said, Sensei, you've lived an amazing life. He's one of these people who remembers everybody's names, and not only
Wow.
everybody's names, but everybody's uncles, aunties, moms, dads, brothers,
Ay, ay,
sisters' names.
ay.
He remembers
Wow.
everybody. I said, "What's the secret to happiness? If there's one thing that has brought you happiness in your life," and
Yeah.
he looked at me and he goes, "Oh, that's easy." I said, "What's that?" He goes, "Give more."
Good.
I
I
said,
love it.
"What?" He says, "Give more." And I thought about that for months, and I sat back and I realized that we talk about serving others, right? And I realized when I thought first about giving more, I thought money, and that's what a lot of people think.
Right.
But then I realized if you want more respect, give more respect. If you want more love, give more love.
Ooh,
If you want more of
ooh,
whatever, give more of whatever it is you want. And
love it.
somehow the universe or whatever it is, karma has a way of catching up. And so as it relates to the TEDx talk and what you're talking about, shift away from you want to do a TEDx talk
Yeah.
and shift into what is it that you want to give to the world?
Yeah. Yeah.
What is
I,
it that
I,
you want to give to the world? And it's a totally different mindset.
yeah.
And
And
so
I love that. I'm going to steal that, by the way, John. Just, go
I'm
ahead.
honored. I'm honored.
Yeah.
Take it and give it. Take it and give it. So all right. So with that, Terry, I would love to have you back sometime.
Love to.
Um, for now, what do you want to close with?
You know, I think whether you decide to do a TEDx talk or a TEDx talk through my program or anything like that, I really want to, first of all, make sure that you understand, the listener, that you understand you've got something that can help people. You've got an idea inside of you that there is somebody out there right now that is praying to hear that. It might be just a word of encouragement, you know, but it might be a way out of the challenge they're having. It might just be that little ray of hope. It might be just some detail they didn't think, well, I didn't think of that, you know, but you've got something inside of you right now that you can share with the world. And if you'll get over yourself, right? It's not about you, it's about them. And it's about the thought that you can help them. Then you also have the passion inside of you to get it out there. You've argued with people before and you didn't care if the words were right. You argued with them. You got it out there.
That's so
But
true.
you've got the ability inside of you, man. Just step out with courage on that first step. Throw up if you have to, but get out there and use the power of the human voice, your voice, and make your difference in the world. That's it, John.
That is amazing. But I think there's a lot of people out there who are going, yeah, but, yeah, but, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
but. One of the things I realized is that, when you look at the world, when you look at every single person you come across, you could be at Disneyland, you could be in a small crowd, big crowd, you could be at the airport, whatever. You are better at every single one of those people you're looking at something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
at the same time, every one of those people you're looking at is better than you at something. So
Mm-hmm.
the first thing it does when you realize that, you go, "Oh wow, yeah, there's something there," just like what you were saying, right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
the humility comes in when you do the exact opposite and you realize everybody that you're looking at is
Right.
also better than you at something. And so it's that something. God's bless us all
Yeah.
with a superpower. A lot
Yeah.
of us don't know that we have a superpower, and a lot of us have multiple superpowers. All of us have multiple superpowers for
Yes.
for that matter. But the world wants to hear from you.
Yeah.
The world wants to
Yeah.
hear from you. And frankly, this is the reason, Terry, why I launched this podcast, is to give a platform for folks to be able to get their thoughts and ideas out there and their experiences out there. And you've been there, you've done this, you've been super, super successful. And I love the fact that you're taking your success and you're teaching others how to do it. And for that, I thank you. I thank you for joining me on this podcast. I love you. God bless you.
Same as you.
Where can if people want more information, they go to IdeaScore.ai,
Yeah,
right?
that's
Is
if
there
you
any
want to get
place else?
clarity on your message, you can go there. If you want to just learn about my program, you can go straight to the viralstageinfo.com, the viralstageinfo.com. Or I'm on all social media. I can't hide anywhere these days. Reach out to me. I'd love to see how I can help you out
And if you guys are interested in his book, The Simple Guide to Public Speaking, and
without losing your lunch.
without losing your lunch, without you losing your lunch, we're gonna make a bet here after we're done, and you can find that on Amazon, folks. There's a lot wrapped up in this thing. Remember what we started with. Warren Buffett, when he said you can increase your value by 50% to learn how to speak publicly. I mean, that by itself should be some level of motivation. And you got me, you got folks like me, you got folks like Terry, you got folks all over the place that would love to help you. And go for it. Go for it. Okay. So with that, rewind this, listen to it over and over again because there's so much great stuff in here. In the meantime, and we'll see you next time. In the meantime, I love you. God bless you. Thank you for joining us. And we'll see you all next time. Bye.
Thanks so much, John.